Drew stared at the shirt on his desk. It was perfectly ironed, every crease smoothed out, every wrinkle erased. His coffee-stained shirt from this morning's disaster meeting now looked brand new. He glanced across the office at Tessa. She was focused on her computer. Pretending not to notice him, a grin spread across his face. "Wow, Tessa," he called out loud enough for everyone to hear. "Ironing my shirts now? You're acting like a wife." The office chuckled. Tessa's jaw tightened. She stood up slowly, walked straight to his desk, her eyes locked on his. "Then marry me and find out." The room went dead silent. Drew's smile vanished. His heart stopped. She wasn't joking. Drew couldn't move. Everyone in the office stared at them. Tessa's face was unreadable, serious, almost defiant. "Can we talk?" she said quietly. "Privately." He nodded. They walked to the empty conference room in silence. Drew's mind raced. Was she serious? Was this some kind of joke? Revenge for his stupid comment? Tessa closed the door behind them. She leaned against the table and exhaled. "I'm sorry," she started. "That was dramatic." "Dramatic?" Drew repeated. "You just proposed to me in front of the entire office." "I know." She rubbed her temples. "But I need your help." Drew waited. Tessa looked exhausted, vulnerable in a way he'd never seen before. "My sister's getting married in 6 weeks," she said. "And my family won't stop. Every phone call, every dinner. It's all about when I'm settling down. Why I'm still single at 29. Like I'm some failure because I don't have a husband." Her voice cracked slightly. Drew felt something shift in his chest. He'd always seen Tessa as confident, untouchable. The woman who never let anything get to her, but right now she looked tired of fighting. "So you want to fake marry me?" he asked slowly. "Not fake marry," Tessa corrected. "Just paperwork, appearances. You come to the wedding as my husband, maybe a few family dinners. Then after a few months we quietly divorce. No drama." Drew crossed his arms. "Why me?" Tessa met his eyes. "Because you're the only person I trust not to make it weird," she said. "We work well together. We're friends. Kind of. And you're not going to catch feelings or complicate things." Drew should have felt relieved by that. Instead, something stung. He pushed the feeling aside. "What's in it for me?" he asked. Tessa raised an eyebrow. "You need something?" Drew hesitated. He did need something. He'd been chasing a promotion for 8 months. The senior account manager position. But his boss kept choosing people with better connections, better networks. And Tessa's uncle was Richard Kemmer. The Richard Kemmer who owned half the commercial real estate in the city. The same Richard Kemmer who was the firm's biggest potential client. If Drew could get close to that family. "Your uncle?" Drew said carefully. "Richard Kemmer. I heard he's looking for a new marketing firm." Understanding crossed Tessa's face. "You want an introduction?" "I want a fair shot at the promotion I've been working toward," Drew said. "If being your husband gets me in the room, then yeah, I'm interested." Tessa considered this. "Deal," she said, "but we need rules." Drew nodded. "No one at work can know it's fake," Tessa said. "It'll ruin both our reputations if this gets out." "Agreed, no real feelings," she continued. "This is a business arrangement. We're helping each other. That's it." Drew extended his hand. "Business arrangement," he repeated. Tessa shook it. Her hand was warm, softer than he expected. They held on a second too long, then pulled away quickly. "So?" Drew said, trying to lighten the mood. "Do I get a ring or?" Tessa almost smiled. "Let's start with telling the office we were joking," she said. "Then we figure out the details." But as Drew left the conference room, his heart pounded. He'd just agreed to marry his coworker. What could possibly go wrong? If you've ever made a deal you knew might change everything, hit that like button. And drop a comment telling us, would you fake marry someone for a good reason? 2 weeks later, Drew moved into Tessa's apartment. It made sense, she'd said. They needed to look like a real couple. Married people lived together. Drew agreed, but he didn't expect how strange it would feel, how domestic, how normal. The first morning, he woke up to the smell of coffee. Tessa stood in the kitchen, hair pulled back, still in her pajamas. She handed him a mug without a word. He took a sip. It was perfect, 2 sugars, a splash of cream, exactly how he liked it. "How did you know?" he asked. Tessa shrugged. "I pay attention," she said simply. Something warm spread through Drew's chest. He told himself it meant nothing. But the small moments kept piling up. Drew fixed the leaky faucet in her bathroom without her asking. Tessa started buying the specific brand of cereal he liked. They developed a morning routine. She showered first. He made the bed. They passed each other in the hallway with sleepy nods and half smiles. It felt easy. Too easy. One evening, Drew came home late from work. Tessa was in the living room ironing. His shirts hung on the rack beside her. She moved with careful precision, smoothing each collar, pressing each sleeve. Drew stood in the doorway watching her. The soft light from the lamp, the quiet concentration on her face, the gentle rhythm of her movements. His heart did something unexpected. It ached, not in a bad way, in a way that felt like longing, like coming home. "You don't have to do that," he said quietly. Tessa looked up. "I know," she said, "but I like things done right." Their eyes held. Drew wanted to say something. He didn't know what. Instead, he just nodded and walked away. But he couldn't stop thinking about it. The wedding came faster than expected. Tessa's sister looked radiant. The venue was beautiful. Everything was perfect. Except Drew couldn't focus on any of it. He could only focus on Tessa. She wore a deep blue dress that made his breath catch. Her family treated him like he actually belonged. Her mother hugged him. Her father shook his hand with genuine warmth, and her Uncle Richard pulled him aside for a conversation about business. Drew should have been thrilled. This was exactly what he wanted. But when the slow dance came, everything changed. The DJ played something soft and romantic. Tessa's sister and her new husband swayed in the center of the floor. "Come on," Tessa whispered. "We should dance." Drew took her hand, led her to the floor, pulled her close. Her hand rested on his shoulder. His hand found the small of her back. They moved together like they'd done this 1,000 times. Tessa looked up at him. "You're good at this," she murmured. "At pretending?" Drew asked. Something flickered in her eyes. "Yeah," she said softly. "Pretending." But it didn't feel like pretending, not with her body pressed against his, not with her breath warm on his neck, not with her fingers curling slightly into his shoulder. Drew's heart hammered in his chest. He was breaking the rules. He was feeling things he shouldn't feel. This was supposed to be business. A transaction. A favor between coworkers. But somewhere between the morning coffee and the ironed shirts and this dance, something had shifted. He was falling, and he had no idea if she felt it too. The song ended. Tessa stepped back. "Thank you," she whispered. Drew nodded. He couldn't find words, because the truth was forming in his mind, terrifying and undeniable. He didn't want this to be fake anymore. If you're loving this story, don't forget to subscribe. Trust us, you won't want to miss what happens next. The work event was supposed to be simple. A networking mixer, cocktails and small talk. Show up with Tessa as his wife. Play the part. Drew didn't expect to see Kendall. His ex-girlfriend stood by the bar, drink in hand, eyes sharp. She spotted him immediately. "Drew," she said, walking over. "It's been a while." Drew's stomach tightened. "Kendall." "Hi." Tessa appeared at his side, slipping her hand into his naturally. The gesture felt protective, possessive. Drew's heart skipped. "This must be the wife," Kendall said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "I heard through the grapevine you got married." "Quickly, Tessa," Drew said. "This is Kendall. We used to date," Kendall finished. "For 3 years, actually." Tessa's grip on Drew's hand tightened slightly. "Nice to meet you," Tessa said politely. Kendall's eyes scanned Tessa up and down. "So how did you two meet? At the office, right?" "We're coworkers," Drew confirmed. "How convenient," Kendall said. Her tone was sweet but venomous. "I always wondered if Drew would end up with someone from work, someone practical." Tessa stiffened beside him. "What's that supposed to mean?" Drew asked. Kendall laughed lightly. "Oh, nothing bad. Just that Tessa seems like the helpful type. You know, ironing shirts, making coffee, playing the good little domestic helper." The words hit like a slap. Drew felt anger flare in his chest. "Don't," he said sharply. Kendall raised an eyebrow. "Don't what?" "I'm just making conversation." "No," Drew said, stepping forward. "You're being cruel, and you don't know anything about her." Tessa tugged his hand gently. "Drew, it's fine." "It's not fine," Drew interrupted. He turned fully to Kendall. "Tessa is brilliant. She's the smartest person in our office. She's kind and thoughtful, and she doesn't do anything because she has to. She does things because she cares about people." His voice rose slightly. "And yeah, she's my wife. The best decision I ever made. So if you came over here to make yourself feel better about whatever we had, you can leave, because what I have with her is real." The words hung in the air. Kendall's expression hardened. "Right," she said coldly. "Well, congratulations." She walked away. Drew stood frozen. His heart pounded. What I have with her is real. He'd said it without thinking. But the moment the words left his mouth, he knew. He meant them. This wasn't about the promotion anymore. It wasn't about helping each other out. He'd fallen in love with Tessa, his fake wife. Drew? Tessa's voice was soft. He looked down at her. Her eyes were wide, searching his face. Thank you, she whispered. For defending me. Drew swallowed hard. Say it. Tell her. Tell her you meant every word. But fear gripped him. What if she didn't feel the same? What if this was still just an arrangement to her? What if confessing ruined everything? Of course, he said instead. That's what husbands do, right? The moment he said it, he regretted it. Tessa's expression shifted. Something closed off. Right, she said quietly. The role. She pulled her hand from his. I'm going to get some air, she said, and she walked away. Drew wanted to follow her, wanted to grab her hand and pull her back and tell her the truth. But he stood there, frozen by his own cowardice. That night, they drove home in silence. Tessa went straight to the bedroom and closed the door. Drew sat on the couch, head in his hands. He'd realized he loved her, and in the same moment he'd pushed her away. Tessa lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Drew's words echoed in her mind. That's what husbands do, right? A role. That's all this was to him. She'd been foolish to think that dancing meant something, that the quiet mornings meant something. He was just playing his part, and she was falling for a man who saw her as a contract. Comment below. Have you ever been too scared to tell someone how you really feel? Because what happens next will break your heart. 3 days passed. The apartment felt different. Cold. Tessa left for work earlier. Came home later. Barely spoke. Drew told himself to give her space, but the distance was killing him. On Thursday evening, Drew was in the bedroom on the phone with his best friend Jake. He thought Tessa was still at work. Man, I don't know what to do, Drew said, pacing. I've completely fallen for her. But she thinks this is all fake, all business, Jake sighed on the other end. So tell her the truth. I can't, Drew said. What if she doesn't feel the same? What if I ruin everything? You're already miserable. I know. Drew ran his hand through his hair. I can't wait for this to be over. The lying, the pretending. I'm exhausted. Then end it, Jake said. Tell her how you feel and end the fake part. Yeah, Drew said quietly. Maybe you're right. He hung up. In the hallway, Tessa stood frozen. She'd come home early, heard his voice through the door. I can't wait for this to be over. The words stabbed through her chest. He wanted out. He was exhausted of her, of this arrangement, of pretending to care. Tears burned her eyes. She'd been so stupid, thinking the coffee mattered, thinking the fixed faucet meant something, thinking that dance was real. But to him, she was just a burden, a transaction that had run its course. Tessa quietly grabbed her keys and left. She didn't come home until midnight. Drew was asleep on the couch. She walked past him without a word. The next morning, everything changed. Drew woke up to silence. No coffee smell. No sounds from the kitchen. He found Tessa already dressed for work, heading for the door. Hey, he called. You okay? Fine, she said without looking at him. Do you want me to make coffee? I got some on the way. She left. Drew stood alone in the apartment. Something was very wrong. At work, Tessa avoided him. She took lunch at different times, stayed late in meetings, responded to his emails with one-word answers. The warmth was gone. The easy partnership they'd built had vanished. On Monday, Drew reached for a shirt from his closet. It was wrinkled. He checked the others. All wrinkled. Tessa hadn't ironed them. A small thing. It shouldn't matter. But it felt like a punch to the gut, because it wasn't about the shirts. It was about her caring, and she'd stopped. Tuesday morning, Drew made coffee for both of them. He left her mug on the counter, exactly how she liked it. Tessa poured it down the sink and left. She didn't say a word. Drew felt his chest tighten. What happened? What did I do? He replayed every conversation, every moment since the event with Kendall. He'd been distant, sure, but only because he was terrified of his own feelings. By Wednesday, the tension at work was unbearable. Their colleagues noticed. Are you two fighting? Someone asked. We're fine, Tessa said flatly, but they weren't fine. Drew felt like he was losing her, and he didn't even understand why. That evening, he tried one more time. He knocked on the bedroom door. Tessa, please, talk to me. What did I do? Silence. Then her voice came through the door, cold, controlled. You didn't do anything, Drew. This arrangement is just running its course, that's all. Running its course. Like they had an expiration date. Drew's heart sank. Is that what you want? He asked quietly. More silence. I think it's what we both want, Tessa finally said. Drew leaned his forehead against the door. Everything in him screamed to tell her the truth, that he didn't want this to end. that he loved the morning routines and the ironed shirts, and the way she looked at him when she thought he wasn't watching, that he loved her. But her words were clear. She wanted out. And Drew had no idea how to fight for something she thought was never real. Hit that like button if this hurts as much for you as it does for them. Because it's about to get even more intense. Friday afternoon, Drew got the call. He'd been promoted, senior account manager, the position he'd been chasing for months. His boss congratulated him. Mentioned how impressed Richard Kemmer had been. How the family connection had sealed the deal. Drew should have felt triumphant. Instead, he felt empty because the only person he wanted to celebrate with wouldn't even look at him. He walked back to his desk. Tessa was packing up her things for the day. "I got the promotion," he said quietly. She stopped, turned to face him. Her expression was unreadable. "Congratulations," she said. Her voice was flat, professional. "Tessa, you got what you needed," she continued. "That's good. Really." She slung her bag over her shoulder. "I think we should end this arrangement," she said. "You have your promotion. My family believes I'm settled. There's no reason to keep pretending." The words hit Drew like ice water. "What?" "It's been almost 2 months," Tessa said. "We can do a quiet separation, tell people it didn't work out. No drama." Drew's chest tightened. "Just like that?" "Just like that," Tessa said. She started walking toward the elevator. Something snapped inside Drew. He grabbed his jacket and followed her. She walked through the lobby, into the parking lot, toward her car. "Tessa, stop," Drew called. She didn't. He caught up to her, stepping in front of her car door. "What changed?" he demanded. "Nothing changed," Tessa said. "This was always temporary." "Bullshit," Drew said. The word came out harsher than he intended. "Something happened. You've been shutting me out for 2 weeks. You won't talk to me. You won't even look at me." Tessa's jaw clenched. "Move, Drew." "No," he said. "Not until you tell me the truth." "The truth?" Tessa's voice rose. "You want the truth?" Fire flashed in her eyes. "Fine," she said. "I heard you, on the phone, talking about how you couldn't wait for this to be over, how exhausted you were." Drew's mind raced the call with Jake. "Tessa, that's not." "You got what you wanted," Tessa interrupted. Her voice cracked slightly. "The connection, the promotion. And I'm just the convenient coworker who helped you get there, the domestic helper, right? Just like your ex said." "That's not true," Drew said desperately. "Isn't it?" Tessa's eyes glistened. "You needed something, I provided it. Transaction complete. Congratulations on your success." She reached for the car door. Drew grabbed her wrist gently. "You think I used you?" he asked. "Didn't you?" "No," Drew said. His voice shook. "God, Tessa, no. You have it completely wrong." "Then what?" Tessa demanded. "What am I getting wrong?" Drew's heart hammered. This was it, the moment he'd been terrified of. But he couldn't hold it in anymore. "The only thing I'm guilty of," he said, voice rising, "is falling in love with my fake wife." The parking lot went silent. Tessa froze. Her eyes went wide. "What?" she whispered. Drew's breath came fast. "I'm in love with you," he said. The words tumbled out. "That call you heard. I wasn't talking about being tired of you. I was tired of lying, of pretending this didn't mean anything when it means everything." Tessa stared at him. "I love the way you make my coffee," Drew continued. "I love coming home to you. I love watching you iron shirts even though you don't have to. I love our stupid morning routine and the way you look when you're concentrating and the way you fit perfectly when we dance." His voice broke. "I don't want this to end," he said. "I never wanted it to end. And I've been terrified to tell you because I thought you still saw this as business." Tears spilled down Tessa's cheeks. Drew's heart stopped. He'd ruined everything. She was crying. He'd lost her. Subscribe right now because what Tessa says next will change everything. Don't miss it. Tessa couldn't breathe. Drew stood before her, chest heaving, eyes desperate. He'd just confessed everything, and she'd been so wrong. "You love me?" she whispered. Drew nodded. "I love you," he said again, softer this time. "I'm so in love with you it terrifies me." Fresh tears spilled down Tessa's face. "I heard you wrong," she said, voice shaking. I thought you couldn't wait to be done with me." "Never," Drew said fiercely. "Tessa, never." She let out a broken laugh. "I've been falling for you too," she confessed. "Since the first morning you fixed my faucet without asking, since you defended me to your ex, since that dance at the wedding." Drew's eyes widened. "You have?" "Yes," Tessa said. "But at the event, when you said that's what husbands do, like it was just a role, I thought I was alone in this, that you were just playing a part and I was the idiot catching real feelings." Understanding crashed over Drew's face. I said that because I was terrified, he admitted. I almost told you the truth that night, but I was so scared you'd reject me, that I'd lose you completely. They stared at each other. Two people who'd been aching for the same thing. Too scared to speak it out loud. Until now, Drew stepped closer. He reached for Tessa's left hand. She was wearing the simple wedding band they'd bought for appearances. Her fingers had been twisting it nervously, halfway off her finger. Don't, Drew said softly. He gently slid the ring back into place, his thumb brushed over it, over her skin. Let me be your husband, he said, voice rough with emotion. For real this time. Not for your family, not for my promotion, just for us. Tessa's breath hitched. You want to stay married to me? I want everything with you, Drew said. The morning coffee, the iron shirts, the quiet evenings, the fights and the makeups and every single ordinary moment. He cupped her face with his free hand. Marry me again, Tessa, he whispered, but this time, mean it. Tessa smiled through her tears. Yes, she breathed. Yes, I already meant it. I think I meant it the moment I said it in that office. Drew kissed her. Soft and desperate and full of everything they'd been holding back, Tessa wrapped her arms around his neck. The parking lot faded away. Nothing existed except this, except them. When they finally pulled apart, Drew pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, he whispered. I love you too, Tessa said, and she meant it with her whole heart. 6 months later, they were still together, still married. But nothing was fake anymore. They'd told their families the truth. That the arrangement had turned real. Tessa's mother cried happy tears. Drew's friends teased him endlessly. The office had their suspicions, but nobody cared, because anyone could see it. The way Drew looked at Tessa across the conference table, the way Tessa's hand found his automatically, they were real. And every Sunday morning, Drew ironed Tessa's shirts. She'd protested at first. You don't have to do that, she'd said. But Drew just smiled. I know, he'd replied, but that's what real partners do. We take care of each other. Tessa would watch him from the doorway, the same way he used to watch her, with warmth spreading through her chest. With gratitude for the unexpected, she'd teased him once, calling himself her wife. And somehow that stupid joke had led to this, to love, to partnership, to home. Drew caught her watching and grinned. What? He asked. Tessa walked over and wrapped her arms around him from behind. Nothing, she said, resting her cheek against his back. Just thinking about how you're stuck with me now. Drew turned in her arms, kissed her forehead. Best deal I ever made, he said. And he meant every word. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who believes in real love. Because sometimes the best relationships start with a little bit of fake and a whole lot of fate. Drop a comment telling us what small gesture makes you feel loved. We love hearing from you.